Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bob by the Popcorn. I'm Emily.
And I'm Alessandra.
And today, we are talking about another critically acclaimed movie that has been making its way around, Licorice Pizza.
Yeah, Paul Thomas Anderson's Oscar probably going to be nominated movie for this year. Definitely making its rounds, especially in the film community.
I do not have the IMDb page. I do not have the IMDb page open, and I am trying to do this very discreetly right now, but...
If you're watching on the YouTube, you could have seen Emily's hilarious face.
Oh my god, I'm just like... Oh no.
I put on my most 70s outfit for this, which is just some stripes. I hope to get more 70s fabric, because there's all sorts of manners of beautiful 70s looks in this movie.
Yes, I thought that the costumes were very cute in this movie, especially with what Alana wears. Like,
yeah,
her little short skirts and crop tops and stuff are very cute. And even her little heels. I like her little, like, chunky little heels. They're very cute.
I love the dresses that she wears that have long sleeves but short skirts.
Yes.
Really, really cute, and really works with her figure as well. So it was just a really nice collection. I'm sure I have to look at who did the costume design now that we're talking about it, because it's just great.
Yeah, we just need to gush about that for a second.
Yeah, I mean, all the kids, they're wearing their, like, kind of flare pants as well. Let's see. Costume by Mark Bridges, who had previously done Phantom Thread, News of the World, Joker, Marriage Story, other PTA movies, tons, very prolific costume designer.
Yeah, very, very good other movies that are on his list. Wow.
Goes along with the whole vibe of this movie, which was a real vibe.
Was definitely a real vibe. It was, I kept hearing it as described as a love letter to the 70s, to 70s California, especially.
The Valley, in particular.
The Valley.
Yes.
Yeah.
Encino. So, yes. And you feel it. You really do. I mean, there's a lot of, not just the production design, the music, the acting, the slang. It all just is very big love letter to this time and place, I think.
Yeah, and it was very successful as well. Like, with it really pulled you in. It really made you, like, I felt like I was right there in the 70s watching this movie. And just watching these kids get up to some shenanigans. I didn't really know what it was going to be about.
Right.
I just kind of heard things here and there. But I didn't really know what was going to be happening. And just a lot of funny stuff kind of happens. But where do we want to start?
I just saw this movie.
You did.
I came back about an hour ago from the movies, and it's about 15 degrees outside right now. So I walked over there and back, but I'm okay.
You made the trek. You braced. You braced yourself, and you made the trek to this.
I was very excited to see this movie. I definitely saw a lot of criticism of this movie before I even saw it, so I went into it with a lot in mind. I went into this kind of prepared to criticize it a lot. And to be honest, it really wasn't bad at all. It was very good in a lot of ways. So I didn't want to say that the criticisms were valid, but as a whole, it's a very good movie, and I did enjoy watching this movie, even by myself. We're from Los Angeles, so I feel like we also are a little bit biased. our parents grew up in this time similar to these characters. So I'm sure that maybe people who are older than us would feel a little bit more about it in terms of like the nostalgia.
I have to agree. I was hearing a lot of negative things, not really about like, the movie necessarily being bad, but like some specific scenes or some themes that the movie had being like inappropriate, like the age gap between the two characters, the romance happening between the two characters, and I will agree that the scenes with what's that actor's name? He's in like Pitch Perfect, and like
Fired Up.
Yeah, that guy. The scenes with him, I did not like those scenes. I don't even like. Sure, if they were to set the time period, but even then, they really didn't do anything to the plot, and I just thought they were very hard to watch. Honestly, I didn't think they were funny. I did not enjoy those scenes at all. And in terms of the relationship between these two people, it was hard for me to believe that Alana was like, it's older than she was, because she was very immature. Like she was.
Yeah, she lied about her age. I think she was most likely early 20s. And
she did kind of hesitate when she said her age.
Yeah. So I think it was like she was trying to pretend that she was older than she actually was too. Yeah,
or she was older. I don't know, because I guess apparently the singer Alana Hayam is 30 in real life. I guess. But yeah, I thought it was weird that she hesitated when she said her name. So I was like, so are you older than 25?
She once said 28 when she was in the truck. And then she kind of said 25 again. But she also lives at home with her parents and her two older sisters. And so like how much older could they be if she's like in her mid-20s and they're all living at home together, like all of them? Like
I don't know.
How old are they?
That confused me. Yeah, how old are they?
Are they all unmarried? Like, this is the 70s. You'd expect at least maybe the oldest one to be married, right? Like, how old is she? That's what I'm thinking. So she couldn't possibly have been that old.
I don't know. I don't know.
So
I'm very confused about that.
I think it was kept vague on purpose. Let's just be honest.
Which honestly, I appreciate, because I'm not a fan of age gap relationships, especially when they're that big, and you're dealing with a minor, obviously. But like, both of these characters were just like, they were. I liked them, but they were so annoying. Like, just the two of them.
They're young, right?
I know.
They're teens in their heads, right? Like, at least Alana acts very immature in the movie.
She acts immature, and Gary likes to act older than he actually is, just because of, like, the money he's making doing all these little acting roles that he does.
Yeah.
The stupid little businesses that he would start were so funny.
Ragtag. They're so funny.
They were so ridiculous. It was so funny.
Yes.
It was just but kind of going back to what you were saying, like, because I saw this movie over the weekend, so not too far away. I went into this movie with a pretty negative idea of it, so I was a little worried about how I would come out thinking about the movie. And yes, there are things about it that I don't like, but overall, I found it to be an enjoyable movie. The story was very charming. The kids were all very funny, and all the little shenanigans they got into were very cute. It was really just those types of things. Like, it was shot very beautifully. The screenplay was very good. Like,
the acting
overall,
was really good.
The acting was amazing.
Good. Yeah, especially
for Cooper Hoffman's, like, I think this is his debut role. He did fantastic. I thought his character was annoying, but he's a kid, so what do you expect? Like, he's probably supposed to be annoying, but he did really good. I was really excited to see Alana Hayam act, And I didn't know that her other sisters were in the movie, or her parents. I didn't know all of them were in the movie. That was a really fun surprise.
Totally.
But yeah, I thought this movie was very charming, minus those couple of things that I said earlier. But
yeah, I mean, to kind of just like say, obviously, there is that like very racist part where that one actor kind of, he does a very, very racist impression of his Japanese wife. And
yes,
it's so clearly obvious that he's supposed to be very, very offensive in that moment. I don't know how you could not like watch that and think like, and even the woman who's there, his mother, is like clearly like, oh God, like this is ridiculous. It's just not. It's just like, who is this very inappropriate gentleman that is sitting in front of me? And it's not necessarily like needed to be explained. I guess it's just kind of the flavor of the whole movie, right? The plot is to get these two together, but in a sense it's more about like the time, the period. Like it doesn't really have a plot. It's kind of just like a meandering, this is what's happening to these characters and around these characters and the choices that they're making. And they're very specific and interesting people. And so there's so many different kinds of people that surround these people. This is the 1970s in Encino. So let's really think about maybe the type of people that they would encounter in this environment, right? We've got a racist guy who owns a Japanese restaurant, has various different Japanese women. We've got, a bunch of little ragtag kids, just like, very similar to Linklater's Dazed and Confused. They're just kind of running around all over the place. It's the 70s. We've got, like, Barbara Streisand's boyfriend, who's a total weirdo, who gets very, very aggressive for no reason and is, like, really on to the ladies. We've got, like, Sean Penn's character, who's this TV actor much older than Alana, who takes interest in her because he's a sleazy, Hollywood dude who can do whatever the fuck he wants and
I mean everyone in this movie was like sleazy and horny.
Yeah,
like everyone was hitting on everyone.
So like that is like the buffoons of this era, this time, everything that is fucked up is shown to you. Yet we've got these two very, young people who are like in it, don't know anything else of their life, don't know anything other than living in Encino in the 1970s. So to them, these people exist around them, these Hollywood people that are just so into themselves, that don't actually care about anybody else, that are just so wildly ridiculous characters.
And Alana even mentions, like, she's trying to get with someone so that she can leave. Like, she doesn't want to be where she's at. Like, she tries to date the friend of Gary Valentine's. I can't remember what his name was.
I love that guy too. He's so funny. I love
that actor.
He's
so funny.
We've seen him in various other movies. Like in
he looks so familiar.
You remember him in Booksmart? And he's such a funny actor. I'm gonna find
vaguely.
He was like third listed too. It's God, I can't find him. Skylar Gisondo, who played Lance. I love that guy. He's so funny. He's so great. I've seen him in a bunch of stuff. So good. He's just hilarious.
He was so tan.
I know. He always plays the kind of person who's just a little bit too intense, but he's just like cute,
just a little intense.
A little bit intense, so it works.
And it was funny seeing these things that Gary was like auditioning for, like when he went and did like that vest commercial, and then when he was in like that pajama thing, like when he was it like a production, like a theater production of something?
I think it was like a movie. Or a theater production, and he was with all those children, and we watched them sing this horrible song, and all the kids
weren't even good. Like, the song was so bad.
It really was hilarious because it's just so much ridiculousness, but it's just so comfortable in its ridiculousness, and it feels so real. Like all these things that were fake, like that show and all the things that he was in, and
yeah, it
Sean
all felt
Penn.
very genuine.
Yeah.
Like, and even though the movie was pretty long, I felt like it went by pretty, like this was over 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I did check my phone. I did check my phone once to see what time it was, but overall I thought it went by pretty quickly, and it was pretty enjoyable to watch. Not sure if I'd watch it again personally, but I was glad that I went to see it. And I love the poster. I love this art that I have here on. If you're watching this on YouTube, I have like one of the posters behind me, and I love how she looks. I love how they drew her.
It really is awesome art. It's so cool. It's very 70s. I love it. I wish I could draw like that. Yeah.
I'm sure you could. This looks not too far off of what you've drawn before.
True. I mean, it gives me a point of reference for sure. It's got this big picture of Alana holding in her hand Gary. And, even, we watch them, and as soon as they start this relationship, it has kind of a spark. As soon as he meets her, he pulls the, for school pictures, and he's in high school, he pulls the kind of charm on her, and she's instantly charmed. It's like something that she can't even like resist. She knows that she's gonna meet him later, even after their little encounter. And
we've learned from other characters in the movie that Gary has this charm on plenty of other people. Apparently, people just love Gary. He's very charming, apparently.
Cooper Hoffman is a charming guy. Like, he really...
Yeah.
He's a charming teenager. He really just, he pulls the moves. You can see it. And he pulls the moves as he does later, like when they're on the plane. Because he kind of enlists the adultness to himself. He kind of pretends like he's an adult. He pretends like he's talking very eloquently and very direct and
very confidently.
Yes, very confidently, even though he's got super pimply cheeks and he's 15, right? So it's it's an interesting dichotomy, which leads me to this point that I was thinking even before I saw this movie. To me, a major criticism of just the type of movie that this is, it's very fantastical, very, very particular to a male in this time. In general, the story is kind of a love story. It does have a lot of development for Alana, but it's also just so much from Cooper's point of view, Gary's point of view, and probably Paul Thomas Anderson's mind flowing through the script, right? So it feels very, very male fantasy, from the point of a younger man, somebody who's about 15. Everything that happens to him is it seems like it's almost heightened. Like all the women that he sees, all the, even Alana, he sexualizes her sometimes, and he sexualizes every woman who he sees because he's 15. So it's there's a lot of things that seem very... do we need a movie like this? Because why is this important that we watch this very this fantasy from somebody, 60, whatever, 50 years after this happened? It's kind of why don't we have more of these kind of movies from other perspective other than just straight white males, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what... Exactly. It's just very fantastical. It's very fantasy-like, while also being very authentic to the 70s. If that makes sense. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. I agree.
Yeah. I did like the whole part with Benny Safdie. I thought that was very good. No one's even talking about that from what I've seen.
Yeah, I really like that part where Alana goes to volunteer with the mayor, right?
Yes. With
Yeah,
whack.
that was like my favorite part. That's like my favorite part of the whole movie.
I know. And he invites her out for a drink, and you think maybe he's gonna hit on her or something, and it turns out that he has a boyfriend and he's trying to deflect that because he's a politician.
Right.
And the guy who plays his boyfriend was amazing. Like, he really felt like he was trying to advocate for himself. Like, we had one scene for this man. One scene with this conversation, and the fact that we got the entire context of this scene, the entire context of their relationship, the entire context of this man's life.
Yeah.
In one scene is just masterful. I mean, think about something like that. Like, it makes me just so proud that somebody could even do something like so beautiful as that scene. I just feel
this movie did that really well with other things too. Like, we would kind of be pulled into these side stories as we were kind of going through the chapters of, because I don't know how long this time span is. It maybe seemed like it could have been a couple of years. It could have been a year. It could have been a couple of months.
I know, right?
I don't know. It doesn't tell you. It's just kind of happening. And I like that it didn't tell you, because, like, in the eyes of like a 15-year-old or even younger, you have no sense of time passing. You have no sense of how long things take.
Right.
And how long things crumble. They just kind of, you start a business, it dies, you start the next, like, it's whatever.
Yeah.
So I kind of liked that it was all just kind of jumbled, and as we were kind of just bouncing around to these different side stories, like even, making the waterbed business, the pinball machine business, like going to that weird, like, teenage fair, which was, like, really weird.
He got arrested.
And then he got arrested because he looked like he was dressed and looked like some person who murdered someone.
Yes.
And they just pick him up and take him to the police station. And Alana's just, like, running across town, like, trying to make sure that he's okay. And he was trying to sell waterbeds at a teenage fair. Like, it was just so wacky.
It
and
really
the
was.
The one scene that really confused me, and I was not following it very well, was the scene with Sean Penn.
Yeah, but again, I think lost. That was the way it was.
I was like, why are you jumping over fire with a motorcycle?
It was
fine.
It was supposed to be because Alana was trying to make Gary jealous, and
yes,
that
did a lot of that.
That was, like, the thing, right? So, like, the simple, like, the two in the love story was them kind of getting each other back. One coming along too strong, the other one pulling away. One, and just back and forth, right? And so that's not necessarily a new concept, right? Like, that's how a lot of love stories happen, right? A lot of comedies, romantic comedies, or even just, like, personal love stories happen like that. I mean, Pride and Prejudice is one of them. They one of them goes this way, one of them goes the other way, and then they just keep doing that, right? And it seemed like that was the point of that one scene, was to just kind of get Alana to be making Gary jealous, and then when obviously Sean Penn doesn't give a shit about her, and she popped. He
doesn't even know her name. He just calls her Grace Kelly, and
which was so funny. Like, he goes up to her, and then she's like, "You remind me of Grace," and she goes, "Kelly." Yeah. So funny. It was so good. Great acting.
She was
honestly.
So good.
She was hilarious.
She was so good. Yeah. I really hope she plans to do more, because she was fantastic.
I know. Just all the kids, but I do wish we did get more of the other kids. We didn't really get to know them, and to be honest, they felt very backgroundy. Like, at the very end of the movie, they listed all their names and their titles, and I was like, I could not tell you what their names were. I truly have no concept for these children. They acted like kind of just dull. Like, even his brother was kind of just like just staring off into the distance all the time, even though he's supposed to be like 10 or something. I don't know how old he's supposed to be. It just was like...
He just was like really spacey and like...
Yeah,
and,
like, what? Like, what kind of child
and you can
are
tell
you?
by how the kids were acting that they were trying to give themselves something to like stand out. Like one of the other younger boys was like also very flirty. It seemed like it just... But yeah, they just kind of came and went. Like I really didn't notice them a whole bunch when they were on screen.
Which I think is definitely not a good part about this movie. They should have been a little bit more interesting. They were just so boring, and that's like I guess they weren't important, but even her sisters had like slightly more things to do. But even then, the two of them were just the dullest characters. Like they had nothing. They were just flat. Everything they said was it was like they were in a position like this. So like all of the characters around them that are like their friends are like not the interesting ones. They're the interesting ones. Right.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Which is an interesting choice.
And maybe that was purposeful. Yeah. I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. I guess. It's just weird, you know? Like, they're so bland, the other characters. The non-bland characters were just, I mean, Bradley Cooper, just everybody around them that were the adults in their lives.
Yeah.
They were the more, like, ridiculous people. So.
Yeah, I mean, and even more ridiculous than even Gary and Alana. Like, I mean, yeah, they were kind of immature in their own way, but like Bradley Cooper's character was a psycho. John Peters, like he was.
Is that how this guy really was? Because my goodness,
I don't know.
How hilarious.
I have no clue.
Ugh.
Yeah, and even the two guys in the tail, was it the Tail of Cock or something, whatever this bar was called?
The bar, right. Yeah,
they were insane. Like, it just and even when Alana goes to get an agent and Gary's like, just say yes to everything.
That
and
lady!
She's
oh my god! I know!
She was crazy.
She was insane. Like, they were all just, like, absolutely crazy and just, like, okay. I just don't... Like, the things that woman was saying. I mean, and she just... She was like...
Which is funny, because it just made the kids seem, like, more responsible in a way. Like, they were the adults, and the adults were, like, the children.
That, oh my god, you've cracked it. This is what Paul Thomas Anderson wanted.
Adults are insane.
Kids are less insane. They haven't as acclimated to the trials of being an adult. And even though
I enjoyed Gary and Alana's characters, I did kind of wish we got like a little bit more of them, because, you know, just like from Alana, she just seemed like, you know, we didn't really get any hobbies from her. Like, just the only picture I had of her was she would date anyone to get out of where she's at. And that's her hobby. Like, I don't really know, like, we just really didn't learn a whole bunch about her. And I guess you don't have to, because I mean, if this is kind of said from Gary's point of view, Gary probably didn't know any of that, because he's just a 15-year-old and these two probably don't know anything about each other.
Well,
They're
she
just
was interested
purely going off of emotion.
Yeah, I mean, she was interested in the politics and stuff. She was kind of trying to be more adult. And
I think she was, but it almost felt like in a shallow way. Like she was like, this guy's gonna do great things. Like, I feel like she was implanting herself to seem more important than, because she compares herself to a lot of people. Like, she was, what was it? There was, she was comparing herself to Gary. Like, you know, they were trying to like one up each other.
Yeah.
Like the whole movie, and you know, he's like, I'm a businessman, and she's like, well, I'm a politician.
Right.
Like, no, you're not.
No, you're not.
No, you're not.
You volunteer. for
Yeah,
a
it all
campaign.
came from a very shallow place, which makes
Yeah.
sense. Like for these two kids not really knowing what they want to do, where they're going, how they're getting there. It's just happening in a blur.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I think at her lowest point where she decided after she backed up the car down the hill, which
it
was
was insane.
honestly so epic. I honestly was just
so crazy.
I loved every minute of that. It was so funny. And she gets out and she's just she can't believe that she's like come to this point in her life where she had to like do that, and she's kind of looking at that's when she kind of pulled away and joined the campaign because she saw that campaign poster on
She's
the
like, what am I
wall.
doing with these 15-year-olds doing
Yeah.
this stupid shit? Like,
Totally. I mean,
and she asks herself that a lot. She's like,
does,
even to her
yeah.
sister, she was like, do you think it's weird that I hang out with Gary and his 15-year-old friends all the time?
yeah.
I think it's weird.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just, oh man, so funny.
It's not a perfect movie. I definitely don't think that this movie doesn't have flaws. It does have, it's weird and stuff, but it's
It was a little weird.
it's weird.
It was weird, but kind of charming.
Yeah, like it's kind of it's just I did really like it. Like I just don't. I get the criticisms, I get the situation, but it's like this is a movie. Like I don't know, it's a fantasy. Like it's not expected that this is how people are now, or like it's kind of it's a time capsule, but it's also just like a weird story, right? So
Yeah, like seeing things in a weird, like kind of comical, fantastical kind of way. Like
yeah, like backing up the car down
down a hill.
a hill.
After smashing out John Peters' car's window.
And he like made them go back up the hill and then back down after they had almost trashed his house, and like it just they
But
make
the
these
whole
choices 'cause
conversation
they're
when he's like,
teenagers.
I'm already late picking up Barbara, and you guys are late, and oh my gosh, and the whole like fuel shortage like was fucking crazy too.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh my god, I can't even imagine like the lines and just people just
Yeah.
abandoning their cars like on the side of the road. They're just out of gas, and it's just like it's fucking,
Uh-huh.
like apocalyptic in a way.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Gosh.
it does place it. It does make it seem more, I mean, it's another way to like put in that time and space, which PTA likes to do. He does have a more whimsical nature about his movies, and
Yeah, I was looking at his other movies, and I know I wanted to see Inherent Vice, but I don't think I ever got around to it.
the ones I've seen are, well, I think that there's definitely two kind of sides to his films. He's got the more whimsical movies, and then he's got the more thrillery kind of historical kind of movies. And they just put Phantom Thread on Netflix, and that movie is so good. I think we talked about it in one of
So
our
good.
Oscar podcasts. If not, we reviewed it on one of our episodes. That movie is like so fucking good. Definitely should watch it if you haven't seen it.
I can definitely see how the Hyam sisters and family have got into Licorice Pizza, because he's done like all of their music videos.
Yes. I've
Wow,
seen Haim
there's
a
so
couple
many of them on
times
here.
at some music festivals, unsurprisingly.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're great. They're good musicians. I love the Jewish aspect to this movie. I love the fact that they had like I think they were having Passover or something, and it was just like so it was like involved in the story, and they were involved in the story, and obviously they did also make jokes about being Jewish, especially that lady that was like the
Oh yeah,
I mean, it was so clearly, again, very racist.
the agent.
Yeah, the agent.
Yeah.
So it's just another like aspect to people are people in this, like, the 70s were problematic. Like, just in general. Like, people just didn't act the way that you should behave towards anything that we do today.
Completely.
It was just a much looser time. Just, like, really not caring about having any kind of business license or pretty much anything like that. And they could just do whatever they wanted.
It just was
a little bit
everything
lawless.
Yeah. Things just kind of happened.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand that this would be a more nostalgic look on that. Be like, remember the time when we didn't have any restrictions on everything? And it's like, yes.
When a 15-year-old could start a waterbed business.
Yeah, like, he could just do anything he wanted to because he basically had to raise himself. And, you know, it does have that aspect, but it's also kind of, like, sad, right? Because it's like, but at what expense? Because there's so many people who didn't have this kind of lifestyle. There's so many people who didn't live this kind of life.
Yeah.
And therein lies this is from one person's perspective with a bunch of white people in Encino, California, right? Like,
yeah,
that's it. Like, that's what it is. That's the movie. And to be honest, we don't need more of these movies. We really don't. I mean, I did enjoy this movie, and it was made.
It was made. So the only thing we can do now is criticize.
Again, we need to be, doing more, talking about more movies that could be nominated for Oscars and things like that are even, even more interesting than this movie. Even more, because obviously this one is going to get some acclaim.
Yeah.
Just for being what it is, which is just a good movie. But also,
yeah,
a good movie from an acclaimed director. And working with an Oscar-winning actor's son and award-winning musicians and everything like that, right? So,
yeah, and even though these are their probably feature debuts, which I was reading an article today, and they did say that they liked that Paul Thomas Anderson did give the roles to people who are, I mean, yes, Cooper Hoffman is the son of someone who was prolific, but still had never acted. This is his debut role, and Alana, being known for her music, her and her sister's music, but not really for acting, another debut role. Like, it's good to give people their debut roles, give more people out there a chance. And kind of bringing up what you said about, like, we know Paul Thomas Anderson is a prolific director, but giving more critical acclaim and recognition to other directors out there who might not be as well known but deserve the recognition.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So, yeah, I encourage people to see this. To be honest, I think you should know the criticism. Go in there knowing it, and make up your own mind about all of it, because it's a whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. So, do you think there'll be any interesting trivia?
Oh, I'm guessing. I really was watching this a lot and seeing Cooper Hoffman and just looking at kind of the face of his father, and just really thinking, like,
oh yeah.
I wonder if this movie wouldn't have been made, like, with him if his dad didn't die, / if it was, how proud would his father be, because he's great. And he really does do an excellent job, and he really is so, you just look into the young face of this man and you think, like, he's felt a lot of pain. His dad died, right? And you, like, see this.
Yeah.
And there's really no other way to kind of not look at him and think that, right? So,
yeah,
it's kind of special, I think.
Yeah, it's very special. It's very special. He did a really good job. Great job, Cooper.
I was really interested about this very first trivia here because I saw his name in the credits. And I was like, I think I know who that is.
Oh.
Do you want to read it?
Okay. Sure. Leonardo DiCaprio's father, George DiCaprio, portrays the man who sells Gary a waterbed in the film. George DiCaprio was a well-known figure in the Southern California underground art scene during the era depicted in the film.
That's great.
Very cute. Like, I did not catch that.
Yes. I knew that Leo was from LA and that his parents were LA art people.
I did love that whole waterbed scene, like with the counter girl like selling it to him, like just really just sexualizing this waterbed because they want to sell these and he's like, have you sold many? And he's like, no, you'll be our first one. It's like, dude, no one wants a fucking waterbed. And
but then
like, it's great for your sleep and it's great for your back. I'm just like, it's a fucking waterbed.
Again, though, that's what also made me think of this as a very fantasy-like experience for this 15-year-old kid who walks in and they're like, this waterbed's like $500 or whatever, which is a lot of money. And he lays there and the lady's like staring at him and it's like she's being very sexual to him. And this is like from his perspective, watching this woman act around him as a 15-year-old, like him sexualizing her in his head. Like that's what I was just,
thinking that she's the one seducing him in a way or coming onto him.
Right. And that's what I'm saying about like it being like a 15, which is, I mean, because it's weird, right? Like he's 15 and then these girls are like throwing themselves on him in kind of, and it's like, why?
Yeah.
Right. And it is it's a perspective. It's like he's thinking this because he's a horny 15-year-old, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That and it's just like there's not a lot. I mean, it's just like there's not a lot of movies like that. There's kind of like not a lot of like teenage like seeing it from his perspective kind of things like that.
Yeah.
Where they warp reality and to make it a little bit more surreal. In a possibly offensive way, right? Like everything is kind of offensive. Everybody is pretty much a little bit offensive in every way. And that's the point. The point is to be offensive and to show you that these people are offensive. Like in Boogie Nights, which is another Paul Thomas Anderson movie where everything is offensive. Everything is horrible. There's sexual, display everywhere. It's like grotesque in its offensiveness. And okay, so that this man makes very offensive movies, so why complain so much about the offensiveness of this movie? It is supposed to be offensive. I just get a little bit I get a little heated, clearly. Heated. Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go.
And again, I can understand all of that. It's just, I was very uncomfortable during those scenes. I had to look away. Like I had to cover my eyes and I had to shake my head. Like I was like,
supposed to make you uncomfortable.
Which, hey, that's a good reaction to have. So
yeah, you're not supposed to be comfortable with the racism.
It's not supposed to be funny.
And the cringiness.
It's not supposed to be funny. Yes.
This man
so
is
cringy.
So
right? Horrible. Yeah.
You're supposed to be uncomfortable.
Okay. And uncomfortable I was. Okay, let's see. I like the second one. I think it's really cute. Alana Kane's father is played by Alana Hayam's real life father, Moti Hayam. According to director Paul Thomas Anderson, all of Moti Hayam's lines were improvised. The scene, which Alana comes home and Moti exclaims, "What the fuck?" is a first take.
Oh my god.
It's really cute.
I
also like this
that was
one.
Hilarious.
Yeah, here's another one. None of the younger cast members were aware that Bradley Cooper was involved in the film until he came charging at them in full costume as the cameras were rolling. The final
What?
the final take used in the film where John Peters introduces himself and asks who is in charge was the first time Cooper Hoffman and Alana Haim saw him. Can you
No wonder
imagine?
they were like...
like,
apparently he was supposed to be... It says that he played real-life Hollywood producer John Peters, who was Barbra Streisand's boyfriend during the time period, and he produced A Star is Born, that movie that we watched with Barbara. And
yes.
you guys could go listen to our Star is Born, epic Star is Born, A Star is Born.
Where we talk about
podcast.
Not all of the A Star is Born, because I think we missed one. I think there was an older one. But, yes, we watched
3.
The newest one, the Barbra Streisand one, and the Judy Garland one. And talked about all 3. The truck one, whenever Alana is seen driving the truck, it is actually Alana Haim driving the truck, not a double or a camera trick.
That was honestly
insane. It was insane.
Again, the driving it backwards thing. I mean, she was doing so much, I love the shots of her in the little mirror where she was really focused.
She was so focused.
I get it. It was so cute.
Oh my gosh.
Licorice Pizza. So it says the main influences on this film were American Graffiti, which is a George Lucas movie, and Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And then Fast Times was also set in the Valley. I don't know if you've seen that movie. And it actually features a scene set in an actual Licorice Pizza record store, which is the name. The name comes from a record store from the 70s called Licorice Pizza.
Which piggybacking off of that is the term licorice pizza is slang for a vinyl record.
Oh my god.
Which totally makes sense. It looks like licorice pizza.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
I
Particular
wouldn't
albums
have thought
which
of
were
that
known as
at all.
LPs for long play, hence licorice pizza. Also, the vinyl record is black, which is the color of licorice. The shape is flat and round like a pizza. Okay. Thank you for going into that with extreme detail.
Wow, I am honestly
I was wondering why it was
shocked.
called licorice pizza, so I'm glad I know now.
I don't even think we saw a single record in this whole movie though. But that's okay. No. Yeah, it's really just there's just so many different little specific things in here that are just great.
Yeah.
But definitely loved all of the just everything that was Southern California, right? It's just all this very specific things. And my dad grew up in the Valley in the 70s, so I'll ask him about this and maybe he'll watch it and be like, "Oh, that was nice."
That was what it was. That was it. That was my life growing up.
Yeah, I mean, kids were just freer. Okay, let's be honest. They just could, roam.
Open in waterbed businesses. God, I can't with that. I can't. And then it was so funny when he opened up the pinball, the arcade, when he was like, that guy was roughhousing with the machine, and he was like, "Dude, can you stop?" he's just banging on the pinball machine. And I'm like, oh my god,
it was
so funny.
There was a lot of very funny parts of this movie.
I was like, can you stop?
Of course he can't control it. It's unruly. It's
Dude, yeah, if you're opening an arcade, you have to be aware that kids are gonna break those machines in 2 seconds.
Well, he doesn't know. He's
oh
a
my
kid.
gosh. I know. Of course he doesn't know. He doesn't know. He's never gonna know. And it was interesting that pinball machines became legal Like getting
I
to
was also shocked
hear
about this.
hear about that in the movie. Yeah, I was like, a pinball machine was illegal.
I thought I didn't hear the guy right when he
Wow.
said that, and I was like, pinball? Like the game?
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, what? I was unsure.
The real, it just was, I really did like the chemistry that the two main characters have. Of course, it is really weird that they are a little bit different, like the age gap, especially since he's young. But the actors are just so good. They just like did such a good job. Like they really had so much energy between them. They were just like very well done, because that's like the main crux of the movie. It's like I don't know. I guess it's just weird that I'm just like so okay with this as a concept for a movie, and I probably shouldn't, because it was so well done, right? And it's just like, why do I feel like this? Because it was so good. Like this movie did a very good job of explaining this relationship, and it's just like,
Yeah.
am I the drama?
Am I the drama? Maybe. Maybe you are, Alessandra.
I know. I'm sorry to everybody out there who takes very much offense. I don't mean to. I did like this movie. What can I say?
It had its charms.
Yeah.
It had its charms. I will agree. I will agree.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at these plot keywords. Let's see, what do we got? We've got Jewish, child actor, mustache, martini, and gasoline shortage.
Mustache?
That's mustache, yeah, that's on here.
Where is there a mustache in this movie?
I'm sure someone had a mustache, but like a reference, like did someone talk about someone's mustache, or like, because I'm sure people had mustaches.
His younger brother, who was supposed to be like 9, had a mustache.
What?
Yeah,
Did he?
He did.
What?
Who probably was like actually 15 or whatever.
Maybe.
Because, like,
Yeah, maybe.
obviously kids are tiny. Like, 15-year-olds are small as fuck. Cooper Hoffman was 17 when he made this movie. He looks more like a 17-year-old than a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a very interesting plot keywords. I mean, yeah, there were martinis. It's a child actor. I just wish Pinball Machine was here. Yeah.
Yeah. Or just
And
the
let's
70s.
see here.
Encino, California.
Yeah, or 70s. Yeah, I don't know. Waterbed? I mean, come on.
Another aspect that people didn't like was that she showed her tits to him. People were like,
yes,
that is very wrong, because
Yeah.
she's older than him.
yeah,
And yes, it really was weird. It was a weird situation because they were fighting about it, and he was like, you won't even show them to me, but you show them to the whole world. And in that sense, it was like, I think she was just frustrated because she didn't want to come across of like that she actually liked him, because she did. And so it was just like that whole frustration. And that's why she did that. Which makes sense. There was like a lot of things that were just weird because they did everything out of frustration in this movie.
they did, and even though, they did have like a very small amount of chemistry. It's just, I don't know. Their dynamic was still, the fact that they would just do things out of jealousy or anger just felt very, I don't know, not okay. Toxic. Toxic to me. Like Like,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
like I hated how Gary reacted after the agent interview. Like
Yeah.
when he was getting mad at her for saying yes to everything because he fucking told her to, and she's just like, what do you expect me to do? You told me to say yes to everything, and then the whole breast situation, like, oh, you show your breast to everyone, not me. Like I was like, fuck you, Gary. Like absolutely fuck you. Like
Yeah.
like
It was very immature because he's 15. So it was just like she shouldn't have like given into how immature he was acting, but she was also acting very immature. Like it
Yeah.
just was like that's what it is. They're behaving like ridiculous. Like they're not thinking about their choices. They're not caring about the things that they're saying or doing in a sense because they're growing up. Like it's just that was authentic to me because kids don't think that way. Like kids think emotionally, you know, they don't really
and impulsively.
Yes, impulsively, exactly. So that was the way Gary was behaving, and that also was the way that Alana was behaving, which again leads me to believe that she was younger because she just felt like she was acting that way. She just really wasn't in her brain like acting the same way as other people her age, you know?
Yeah. And that's why I found it very hard to believe that she was as the age that she said she was. Yeah, because I was like, really, you were like, it wasn't too far away that I was 25 and I was not making these dumbass decisions.
No, definitely not. Like, so that's the thing. Like, people put themselves in that position. They're like, there's no way that this person would make these choices. Why is she acting this way, right? And it could be because of her sheltered, you know, growing up in a kind of sheltered way as well.
She did seem sheltered, which would make her want to rebel and just do whatever the fuck she wants, because she's like, I have this very overbearing family, with these high expectations of me.
Yeah. So yeah,
and we've seen that kind of character portrayed on the screen many times. So it's not uncommon.
Yeah, it's an interesting movie that got a 90 Metascore, which is very high.
Segue. Very high. I was like,
it's
wow.
very high. It got 52 positives and 3 mixed reviews.
Wow, 0 negative.
0 negative reviews. The lowest thing is a 60.
Wow. And that's still, 3 60s. My goodness. Okay,
there's a lot of 100s. I'm going to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 20, 23 100s from this Metascore.
23? Oh my god. Is there another movie that's gotten that many 100s? I'm sure.
I mean, we've seen a 100. We remember Moonlight.
That's true.
I mean, I could go over to Moonlight right now and see how many 100s are on there, because they're
please,
all 100s, probably.
I need to know.
You need to know? Okay, I need to know. Let's check it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Moonlight.
I'm gonna read while you're doing that. I'm gonna read. Time magazine gave it a 60. Licorice Pizza feels pleased with how casual and effortless it is, which is the exact opposite of being casual and effortless.
Okay. Oh my god. So pretty much, I think there's more in Moonlight. I think I'd have to say.
There has to be, yeah.
Let's see, 18, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36, wow. 30, 39. There's 39 100s on the Metascore website for the 99 Metascore Moonlight, by the way. Don't ever forget how beautiful and wonderful that movie is.
I need to rewatch that movie. It was so good.
Yeah, it really was. But a lot of film people really like Licorice Pizza, as we can see from here. Did you read? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh, I read the 60 from Time. I'll do it again. Licorice Pizza feels pleased with how casual and effortless it is, which is the exact opposite of being casual and effortless.
That is a good review.
It's a good review. It's a good one.
Okay, I'm going to read this 83 playlist. It says, if you're open to its unconventional, idiosyncratic flavors, Licorice Pizza is a wonderfully wistful and evocative ode to youth, done by a masterfully poised filmmaker who doesn't really care if this ain't your bag. All are welcome and invited, of course, but PTA's mellow and balmy effort feels like it's enjoying itself too much to care if you haven't caught on to its wholehearted drift.
Wow.
That's a really good little blurb too. This is why I'm not a writer. I can't say things like that. That's a very wonderful little blurb right there. Can't
say things that eloquently.
I just can't. That's exactly what I was trying to say, is that it's masterfully done. It's effortless and gorgeous in its own way. It's so difficult to make a movie like this. Like, there's so many people who want to make a movie like this, and only because PTA has been doing it for like 30 years he can do it, you know? It's wild. Yeah.
All right, we got to read one of these 100s.
Oh my goodness. Dude, I mean, there is a lot of them. Let's see. There's this word in the timeout. This San Fernando Valley palimpsest.
Yeah, I've heard this word before. I don't know what it means.
Buoyant and bubbly. I gotta look up what this word is. Palimpsest?
I think I've looked up what this word means before, and I don't remember what it meant.
This is what it comes. It's like a memory that is continually being written over. The original writing has been effaced to move on for a later writing, but of which traces remain. So it's rewriting history, kind of like over and over again.
Did you read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue?
No, not yet. I'm reading The Magnificent Light right now, or whatever it is.
A Marvelous Light. I think the author says palimpsest in that book a lot. I think that's where I first heard it, and I had to look up what it meant. Yeah. It's a good word. It's a good word. I didn't know it existed. Okay, and you were gonna finish reading the.
No, I just wanted. So this San Fernando Valley palimpsest is so buoyant and bubbly. It practically floats off the screen. It's the giddiness that grabs you in the California's latest gem, and the dizzying sense of possibility and innocence. It left me with a contact high.
Wow,
they really liked it. I mean, I
didn't think it really buzzed
with me that much.
No,
sure.
No, I do remember leaving it. Like having enjoyed my experience watching it. When going in, I was like, oh gosh, how offensive is this movie going to be?
Right.
Yeah. Any other blurbs that are jumping out at you? I'm trying to find one.
Just like, praising the filmmaking and the stars, Cooper Hoffman, Alana.
I kind of like this one. Chicago Sun-Times is also a 100 with first-rate production values and a gloriously memory-drenched 35mm cinematography. Licorice Pizza is a visual feast brimming with razor-sharp dialogue, hilarious comedic vignettes, brilliant performances from Cooper Hoffman and Alana Haim, as well as the veteran, star-studded supporting cast, and some genuine heart. This is one of the very best movies of 2021. Wow.
Yeah. We have talked about a lot of.
I figure out what my favorite movie is of 2021.
Well,
we'll talk about it on the
yeah.
yeah.
I think
we'll save it for
we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
We're gonna get there.
We only have a few more to watch before we get pretty much probably the entirety of the Oscar-nominated movies out. I feel like we've watched probably most of them. We only have a couple more to watch that are definitely going to get nominated.
On Netflix that we needed that, right? Wasn't like our daughter or Lost Daughter or something.
We need to watch that for the performances. We need to see West Side Story, and we need to see Power of the Dog as well. Yes. So those are the main highlighted ones currently, and then King Richard also I think is something we need to watch. We do have quite a few things. Luckily, there are a lot of things on streaming.
The Tragedy of Macbeth, I think we need to watch that too.
That's right. That's also streaming. So definitely those things. So I'm going to try to get them all watched before these Oscar noms come out, everybody. We're going to...
Let's try and get as many... Yeah, let's try and get ahead of these. Try and get ahead of them.
Well, the last 2 years, I watched every Oscar-nominated movie before it was nominated for Best Picture. So I kind of want to keep it up. Kind of want to do it again.
Oh. Even last year?
Yeah, last year too. Yeah.
Before the nominations got out, we talked about every. We talked about every.
Them all. I watched them all. Yeah.
We watched them all. Interesting. All right. Well, that was Licorice Pizza. What do you think it's going to get nominated for? Original screenplay,
director,
Best Picture,
costumes. Yeah, Best Picture.
You think Hoffman will be a lead?
Maybe.
Alana
maybe
for
him,
supporting.
Maybe Alana. I would not be surprised. I really would not. Yeah, editing.
Cinematography? Did you ever say that?
Yeah, cinematography definitely. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff. A lot of the major ones. Yeah, I mean, I would be surprised if it wasn't. I really would.
Yeah. Well, we will see. We will see when the nominations come out. Eventually. Well, that was Licorice Pizza. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review our show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Stitcher. We are also on Amazon Music and Spotify. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you. Please like and subscribe to this video. And if you're not watching or listening on YouTube, please go to our YouTube channel and subscribe to that. Just search All By the Popcorn Podcast and subscribe to our channel. If you want to reach out and say hello, we have an email. Just email allbythepopcornpodcast@gmail.com. And if you need notifications on future episodes that we release, we post it on our social media. I am terribly lacking on Twitter, but I'll get caught up at some point. But we have Twitter @bythepopcorn, Instagram @allbythepopcornpodcast, and Facebook. Just search All By the Popcorn Podcast and like our page. We also have a TikTok, so go and check that out. And we got some merch. Please check that out as well. We would really appreciate it. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you in the next one. Goodbye!